the af, even if you hold Meiser Sheni is Mammon Hedget, the Chayavas Bebchora. So if you have an animal of Meiser Sheni, that means you use Meiser Sheni money to buy the animal. And so if that animal gives birth, if the parrot gives birth, it's going to be a Bechor, because it's Hedget. That Bechor you can't bring as a korban. Why? Because if you're going to bring it as a korban, the emurim, which are burnt on the mizbeach, you're going to be mevatel. There's a mitzvah of eating meiser sheni, and that bechor is meiser sheni because I guess the mother was meiser sheni for some reason. The bechor all out of it was meiser sheni, and it comes out you're by being makbid on the mizbeach, you're going to have to burn the emurim, and they're going to take away from the mitzvah of achila, because the meiser sheni is the mitzvah to eat of meiser sheni. Well, meiser sheni nitain achila. So therefore, you're not allowed to be makbid on the mizbeach. That's what the Rishalmi says, even though it is a bechor, but you can't be makbid on the mizbeach because you're going to be in the mitzvah of achilas meiser sheni.
It's a conflict between two mitzvahs, though.
Right.
So why go with that one?
I don't know. Why don't we say it's the same problem when you buy a shlamim, because by shlamim also there's parts that are burnt down the mizbeach. So why is it different? He doesn't say. He says ayin sham yushalmi, that makes a difference between shlamim and a bechor. I don't know what the difference is. You think of a difference?
No. Because I would think that maybe the kedusha of bechor is already. Well, he's talking about kedusha's meiser sheni already precedes the fact that you made a shlamim.
So why should you be able to make a shlamim? Because you're going to take away the mitzvah of achila on the part that's burnt down in mizbeach. And by bechor we say the problem is that there's no bechor because you can't burn part of it on the mizbeach, so you can't be makriv it. So well, so by shlamim, why don't we say you can't? I don't know. He says ayin sham yisham. I'm going to have to look it up.
Just because one thing with the bechor, the fact is he's right. The same thing he'll be already meiser sheni before, because the bechor was chalamitz. So for sure over here this kedusha shlamim is after. Has the meiser sheni. But here he says you actually are taking shlamim.
You're using the meiser sheni money to buy a shlamim. They're also using the meiser sheni to buy a par, and the par is going to have a bechor. And it says you're not going to be able to makriv the bechor. So why would he be able to be makriv the shlamim? I don't know. I'm going to have to look at what you show me. Rambam Sasam Advarim.
When he says that the leichin shlamim maros meiser sheni, what is that? You buying it for shlamim, but it can't be a shlamim. So what happens to this animal?
Well, who said it can't be a shlamim? I thought the Rishonim was saying it could be a shlamim. I was just asking why. I thought for Kurt, you're allowed to use meiser sheni to buy a shlamim.
But you can't use meiser sheni to buy a bechor.
Right, so it says the Rishonim says the chiluk. I just told you, I don't know what the chiluk is. In both cases, you're not going to be able to burn the part on the mizbeach. So why should there be a difference? I don't know. Right, so you have to look at the Rishonim. He doesn't bring it. Rambam Sasam Hadvarim. So what should he Sasam? Well, he's going to say Ayin Shakasav. So I guess this is the word of God. The be'emes im lokach behema muberes mos meiser sheni. If you bought a parah that's already pregnant with mos meiser sheni, the kedushas meiser sheni chala avad gam kain, because then it's the lot is also meiser sheni. The havi moment hedget. It's also going to be. We're going out that meiser sheni is considered moment hedget.
Right.
The kaddish kedushas bechor, and that lot is, which if it's a bechor is going to be bechor. And it's going to be meiser sheni. You can't makriv emurim. You can't be makriv emurim. The lo nitain meiser sheni lo lachila, because meiser sheni has to be eaten, and here the emurim are going to be burnt. Even if you didn't buy a pregnant behema, you just bought a behema, then it's abra etzlom zacher shagana gamkin meiser sheni, and it became pregnant from a zacher who was also meiser sheni, in plain havlad who meiser sheni gamkin. So there's going to be this problem that you can't be makriv the emurim because this rule that meiser sheni has to be eaten. Aval im kana para most sheni. Let's say you buy a pearl with the most shiny, then it's and then it became pregnant from the achulin the kasacher. In Cain eitz lavlat havle gorim, because you look at the mother as one gorim and the father as another gorim. So what's the din by zevaz gorim? The zacher shahu chulin, the father who was chulin, gorim gamkin lavlat, is also a cause of the vlad. In Cain, the Gorim was the father which was Kulin and the mother which was Meiser Shani. And he says the din is Zevazah Gorim Shari. And he said we pass on Zevazah Gorim Shari. So it comes out he's saying the Vlad won't be Meiser Shani at all in that case. Kimavur Betur Daflaman Abez or Ram Paragil means for Bint Mizech Lach the Gimel. In Cain, Ein Al Vlad Kedush Meiser Shani. Mutter Lahakriv Aimorm said it wouldn't be a problem. Then you would be Makriv the Bechor because the Vlad isn't Meiser Shani at all by Zevazah Gorim. Right? And even though you only say Zevazah Gorim by something which could become Batal, because if you look at it as if one is Mavatal the other. The Kesem Mishnah, Perikad Adarim, Lavur, the Davar Sheish, the Matirin Kamo, the Lo Batal, and he says something which isn't Batal, what's the Davar Sheish Matirin, Kafrinami, Lo Amrin, Zevazah Gorim, because it has the same rules. So usually Meiser Shani is considered a Davar Sheish Lo Matirin because it could bring it to Yerushalayim and eat it there. And Rana Vodazara, Gabi Betel. Well, Meiser Shani is usually called Havle Davar Sheish Lo Matirin. We call Malcolm Kos of the Zelo Havi Davar Sheish Lo Matirin. But over here it's not a Davar Sheish Lo Matirin because it has Kedushas. Here it's Meiser Shani. One gorim is the Meiser Shani, and the other gorim is the chulin. So therefore, we're saying the vlad which is going to be born is Zevazah gorim, and it's lo habi davar sheish matirin because if it's a bechor, you'd have to wait at sheyipol bo a mum, so it's going to be usher. So it's not shaykh bittul over here. Al kain batul shaper, so it's not shaykh davar sheish matirin, so therefore it would be batul. In kain ben isab retzl mesacher chulin mutter lahakri v'emurim. So that animal that's born would not be meiser sheni because it's Zevazah Gorim. But Rambam kan perikei alachateser kasav alakef behema. He doesn't make a chiluk. He doesn't go to these other conditions. If you bought a muberis, or if the zacher was a meiser sheni animal, or it wasn't a meiser sheni, mashma after sabra etzlam zacher chulin. Since he says now it's mashma all cases, the vlad you can't be makrib even if the zacher was, even if the father was chulin. Al kain sasam, and that's why he said it's not because it didn't make a chiluk. So therefore it's a kasha. I guess where the Gazi is asking a kasha in that case. Before the bechor should be. You should be able to say that it's not kedushas meiser sheni and the bechor if the father is a chulindik animal. So why is the Rambam saying that you can't do it? It's not a bechor even if the father is a chulindik zachor.
They're saying that's just because the Rambam doesn't make that distinction.
Right.
You would expect him to make that distinction.
Yeah, because if he says stam that the mother is meiser sheni, the bechor isn't going to be. That's not going to happen. You won't be able to burn the bechor because you won't be able to makar the bechor because of the murim. You should have made this distinction if the father is a meiser sheni or a mother school if he holds it.
In not being able to makar the bechor, what becomes the obligation?
So that's what he's going to speak about in the next paragraph. When the Yishami only says the af meiser sheni mama hedget if it's chayefes bechor because makom ein makrivin bechor al galev his back. So what does the Yishami mean? You're not makrivin, therefore what happens to it?
So that might be the case. We have to wait for a mum and then you can eat it.
So he's going to go into what's the rule, because we had cases, for example, we said a b'chor chutz la'aretz.
Right.
We said you're not a makravit.
Right. But you can eat it right away.
But we said you give it, but it has kedushas b'chor, and you have to give it to a
Kohen.
Right, and he has to eat it as a b'chor. No one else could eat it. But here the Yerushalmi says. We don't know. The Rosh Hashanah just says you're not makruh. It doesn't say what the din is. So I think that's what he's going to discuss. So, but it's going to be coming up. So let's see. Od Mavur B'Ramam Kan Perikaim Halachatas. The Halokach Behema Mi Peros Shvius. If you have Peros of Shemitah Peros, and you buy a Behema, Harei Zeh P'tur Min B'chor. That Behema, if it has B'chor, there's no din of B'chor. Shrei Nemar Lo Ochla V'Lo L'Skora. Because Peros Shvius you can only use for eating, and you can't make a profit. You can't do business with it. You can't make a profit. And if you're going to say this animal you have a perishvius, you could bring as a bechor and it's chai the bechor and your makravit, harei them mistaker. Then it comes out you're profiting from the bechor. How are you profiting from it? In other words, you're only allowed to use perishvius for achila, not for any business. So I guess here you're not going to be, because what happens if you have this before, you're going to use it for the mitzvah of being makravit, and that, even though that's not called skora, but the idea is it's not a special din of skora, I guess. The special din, it has to be l'achila, and achila below the skora means not for any other enterprise. So bechor is also considered non-achila, because you bring in the bechor as a korban, so I guess that goes into the isser of lo skora. I'm just guessing. I'm not sure. Otherwise, why would, if you need a skora, why you're being profiting by it?
Yeah, you're just not using it for food.
Just not using it. So I think the point is, just like it says lo skora, you can't. It has to be for achila, for nothing else. I think that's probably what it means, but I have to look it up. The din zem avur b'choros based on the base that the behema, you're not allowed to use shvius money to purchase. If you purchase an animal and has a bechor, there's no din of bechor. Rav Chizda Amar the behema shvius p'tur min bechora. So in our Gemara we have a different gear. So Rambam says because it says la'achla v'lo l'skora. In the Rambam's gear, so in our gear, so because I just looked up the Gemara now to see, I wanted to find out right before you came why it's skora, you know. But our gear wasn't that. Our gear says you can't buy a shvius with shvius to buy an animal and it be chayav and bechor, because it says number the hand of shvius p'tur min bechor de lo aklan rachmana lo l'streifa. Why is it streifa? Because kafir gears when they the im tiach hayavas bechor, because if the din would be that the child born is going to be chayav and bechor yisraf one born, you're going to have to burn the imurim. And there's an issur to burn something which has kedushas shvius, because lo akla below l'streifa. Maksha shamat shas mechala. So I think the Gemara over there asks the question, because I just looked up the Gemara, that by chala also, if it becomes tama, you have to burn it. You could use shvius money to buy chala. So the Gemara says, yeah, but that's because chala you normally eat. Just if it becomes tummy, you have to burn it. Here by a bechor, the din is the ikar din. You have to be makrivet. It's going to have streifa. Lazah hisig a Rav or Rambam. So we cut from that Gemara, that our Gemara, Rav had argued so that because it says lo akla below the streifa, so the Rav was masing around because of lo akla below the skara. And the Shas will make that question. The Shas mahur atam. This is our Shas. The akla below the streifa. So where does the Rambam get this business that there's a problem of lola skora? The ayin kesa mishrash v'Rambam hoysa lo girsa lo akla below skora. Maybe the Rambam had that girsa, akla lo skora. It didn't have lola streifa. So then the problem is, if you have the girsa lo akla streifa, so then we're asked the kasha by chala. Why don't we say the same thing? It could become tummy. You'll have to burn it, right? So if you gar's lachla lo streifa, the kasher and chala is good. But according to, if you say the girsa was la'akla lo skora, so what's the problem with chala? You're not doing it by chala, you eat it. I mean, it's going to be eaten. Well, my maksha shas me isa shvius alakla below the sreika. And here it's certainly the reason the Gemara thought that why don't you say bechala, since it comes time you're going to have to burn it, there's a problem alakla below the sreika. So what's that got to do with what we said by shvius the guy be bechor, because it says alakla below the skora? So what's one got to do with the other? Hainu ki heichid. The Gemara is just asking ki heichid avshinim alakla below the skora. Hapinami dershinim alakla below the sreika. If you're going to darsh and lakwa l'skar, you should also darsh and lakwa l'skar. We have the same. Now we have the same drush lakwa l'skar, and you should have a problem with challah also, because it becomes time you have to burn it. Al kain hikshem challah. But ain't the Ram is gersa. But by the case of Shvi, says the problem was lakwa below l'skar. Ayin b'lak mishra shekasav kain. That's how he said you learned the Gemara according to the kesef mishra. So the gersa Ram was lakwa l'skar. So ayin b'marid gazi should pilp on this shala. As far as the Ram lo shayach lachol lo shreifa im nisraber achraper times zevazegorim, because he said the Ram held that if you have the vlad, it's going to be zevazegorim, and you won't have to. There won't be a problem of shias of lachol lo l'sfara. Im kainena or avad kedusha shias. However, isra mach maskara shem mistaker be'aim. He said, but if the drush is below l'skara, it's not because even though the vlad doesn't have kedushas bachar, but fakir, but still you're profiting from the mother which has kedushas shvius. By even though the vlad is not going to be shvius, but that's called you're going to use shvius to produce you this vlad. So it's a problem with l'skar. So it comes out, then it makes, so that, not the way I learned, it comes out the way the Murder Gazi learning that if you go the score, the problem is that you're going to use the Shia's money to buy a behema, and it's going to have if it has the Vlad, the Vlad isn't going to be Kedushas Shia's.
Right.
And so it comes out you're profiting, and there's no din of la'akla on the Vlad, and you're going to be able to sell it and everything like that.
Right.
And so it's a problem that you're using the mother for a scholar.
Right.
Because so that's the problem. That's the gears of below the scholar. That's the way he's learning the Rambam, not the way I learned. I thought the Rambam was just saying just like there's a din of below scholar, it has to be achila, nothing else. But he's learning below scholar means it's actually a case of scholar. You're profiting because the mother is shvius. If you use the mama shvius to buy the mother is shvius. And if it has a chulandik zachor, the vlad is going to mutter, it's not going to be shvius, it's gorin. So it comes like you use the mother to bring about skar, because now the child is mutter b'hanon.
It's not necessarily talking about before. It's talking about any child of that situation could be sold, and therefore, because of zev gorim, therefore it extends to before.
Yes,
right.
That's good. I mean, that's really a problem. I didn't think of that, but the chor, you're right. So then it shouldn't have to be doing anything. But
the before, it's in other words, it extends it to being everything. Therefore, that's why it's chora. And in terms of the bechor, it's because of the sreifa, but it's sort of like it's a little bit more. The more general problem is that this.
But the Ram isn't Guras, the sreifa. The Ram is only Guras level.
Yeah, but that's because that's a general case. Blood of that case is schor. What about bechor? There's no schor in the bechor anyways. But still, you're not going to totally eat the bechor. In other words, that blood, if you totally ate it, it wouldn't be a problem. Or in other words,
well, you're using the shvius to get you a vlad, which you could sell. I mean,
but what if you totally ate that blood?
I still think it's a problem because you profited back. I mean, ain't going to use it for eating, but since it becomes your mammon, and that would goofa be. It
loses its shame shvius.
Yeah.
And by losing its shame shvius,
you profited the whole animal. If you decide to eat it, fine, but you could sell it, and it's worth money to you, and so it would be considered a spheris.
Right. It's interesting because what you're saying is that even the potential to sell it, even if you end up eating it, still will be part of Schora.
Yeah, I mean, with the Rambam's words, the Pirish Shvius, they raise the language of Chizah by a pain and Pirish Shvius, they raise a Torah mina b'chora, because it says, Lo achla v'lo l'schora, because if it would be chayeves b'chora, it would be coming out, you're going to be profiting by the vlad, and there would be a problem of lo l'schora, therefore the mother itself is Torah mina. Therefore, the din is it's p'tura min ha-b'chor. Because if it has a, if it have a b'chor, it would be la'akla v'lo l'schora. So you're asking, even if it doesn't have a b'chor, there should be a problem of la'akla v'lo l'schora, right?
What he said, that's what he's saying. He's saying the Hamish Shvius P'tura Mina B'chora, the Achar V'lo L'schora.
Maybe that's what he means. He's saying the Chiddush is, even if it has a b'chor, it's also going to be a problem, because you might think, what are you gaining if it has a b'chor? So he says you're still gaining, because it's not going to have Kedushas. It's not going to have Kedushas Shvius. And it won't have Kedushas B'chor either, because that was a Garim. So the Mar means it's, in other words, it didn't use the case, it used L'Akla L'Schora, because you might think if it has a B'chor, you're not gaining anything, you're not profiting anything. So it's telling you, no, it's part of a B'chor, and the Redagazi is learning because it's not going to have Kedushas B'chor. And why it doesn't have a Kedushas B'chor? Because of this, there was a Garim. Right? So Tiltik, in the words of Pater Min B'chor, because then it's only true if you take this behemoth Shvius and it has a B'chor from an animal that doesn't have Kedushas Shvius, right?
Right.
Then you could say it's a Garim. Right? The way I understand it would be any case, it's considered, even though it's
very strange.
It's not Skora. Okay, but that's what he's saying. Let's see if he finishes when it goes into it.
But why would he put them? I still don't get why be put this behemoth Shvius. Why should the blood be potted from the b'chor? Because you're saying that
was a garim. It's not going to have kedusha Shvius, and it's not going to have kedushas.
Oh, okay. No, it's potted from b'chor because it doesn't have kedushas b'chor. Because it's a garim. It's not because it's Shvius. It's a completely different idea. That's a completely different argument. And you're saying behemoth Shvius b'chor because Zev Gorim. It's nothing to do with this. So it really makes.
Why is it? Not because Zev would mean it won't have kedushas
b'chor.
It won't have kedushas Shvius. Why won't it have kedushas b'chor? I mean, a b'chor comes from a mother and a father. What is it?
Oh, you're right. So it doesn't have kedushas Shvius.
So if it doesn't have kedushas
Shvius,
so then it's going to. So why doesn't it have kedushas b'chor? Because he says.
Yeah. So if it doesn't have kedushas Shvius, right? Why isn't it b'chor? Okay.
What do you mean? I'm not following.
What's that? If you buy an animal from with Perish Shvius, it's part of the b'chor. Right.
He's saying that it won't have kedusha Shvius the blood, and therefore comes up the mother which has kedusha Shvius, and it's only mutter for achila. This vlad that it has, you're going to profit from it, right? And you're not allowed to profit from the from the mother. Right?
That's why, because even though the blood doesn't have kedusha shvius, it's a product. It's a profit of shvius.
Of shvius, yeah.
Right.
And that's what the Rambam means, that you're mistaken.
And then he's going on to say that at that point in time, it's patur from the bechor. He says, but then it's that animal that you profited from the blood, which you profited from the mother.
So it comes up that since you weren't allowed to make this profit, that profit doesn't have kedushas bechor, because you weren't allowed to profit from the mother.
Where's the oh, so that's your argument about schora. Okay, because that's nothing to do with Shreifa.
Nothing to do with Shreifa, according to this. So the Fini is like the nearer of the source around the Adarabba. The figures of saying away in the movement. He says, I don't understand our girsa. Our girsa was the aqua Shreifa.
Right.
So, and if it's going to have a bechor, then it's a problem, because you can't burn the emurim. If you're makrav, you can't burn the emurim, right? So he says he doesn't understand that. The key of the ikar time the patir mechor makras haktaras emurim, and you can't burn the emurim because it's shvius. The mokain amaisa rechizah the pturim and bechora lama yutim and bechora legamri. So if the whole problem is you won't be able to burn the emurim, this is your kash. How about the memer? What? Just don't be makrav it. Avo mashilay. What do you do with it? So the you won't be makravit, but it still should have a kedusha bechor, and should wait till it gets a moon. Like I gave you the case. L'chein wotzinu bechor chutz laretz. The bezeres akasav ein makrivin also. The Torah says you can't be makravit for whatever reason the Torah has. Because mikol makom kedusha bechor alav ad sheyipol bo mum yitin l'kohen. Rak ein makrivin l'mizbech. L'chein v'yushalmi gavi bechor mimos meiser sheni. So shover sham chatana. The aim makrivin also on the mizbech, but if you use meiser sheni to buy a bechor, you can't put it on the mizbech, because then you're going to end up having to burn the emurim. The kol makom, the Yerushalmi says, kol kedushas bechor alav, but it's still a bechor, just that you can't be makrivit. But it has a kedusha bechor, and you wait till it gets to be nasen the kohen, and it has to be given to a kohen like a bechor of chutz laretz. Also begizav avod, it has kedushas bechor. Im kain amai sol Rav Chizah the ptur mida bechora. The mavur deimbo din chara klai. So the language that the Gemara says, ptur mida bechora, implies there's no kedushas bechora at all.
Right.
So he says he doesn't understand the Gemara. Why should that be true? It's just a svara that since you can't burn the emurim, so you can't be makrav, but it still should have kedushas bechor. So he's asking kasha on our girsa, or Rashi's girsa of lach below the streifa. Aval Gersa Rambam Nichi says the Adarabba. He says the Bechor Balmum, the din is Muteris Schora. Bechor Balmum, as we said, has kedusha. You can't be makravit, but you could do Schora with it. Kamavur Bekama Komos, you could sell it like that. Now Cain Patra Kasal Lagamri. Here there's a din of Achla V'lo the Schora. So we say since you're profiting from the mother, there's a problem with akla below the skora, and the animals you're profiting because this animal wouldn't have it in a shvius. Aval girsa seinu l'chen girsa arriva that we're gors lachol esrofet sarachin maod lama petur mi bechora. It's only a svara that you shouldn't be able to be makro the emurim. Why is it patur chora havalei l'meim rak lo yakrid en l'mizbech? I will call Kedusha Bechor, but why shouldn't it be Kaddish with Bechor? Well, the Gersa of the Rambam, the Gersa of Lachal Schora is better, because it's saying that since it's a profit of the mother, it doesn't have Kedushas Bechor, so it can't have Kedushas, it can't be a Bechor, but Sarachin. Lion Sefer Anal Sheherich Ma'od, he says, look at the Marid Al-Gazi, I guess, of being Marich on this. So that's it. So, but he's ending up blibing Shvir with, I don't understand the Din of Lachal Schora so much. But he's ending of Shiur, which I understood. Rashi said, "L'achol streifa," because you're not going to be able to be makro the emurim. So he says, "So what if you can't be makro the emurim? That's a steward to meiser sheni, but still it should have kedushas bechor, just like a bechor in chutz laretz."
Yeah, the thing is la'achol l'schora. It's because. So what do you do with that blood? The fact is the problem is doing anything with that blood, right? Even if the blood doesn't have kedushas b'chora, but the point is that the blood is a profit from the mother.
Right.
So then what can you do with that blood?
You have to find out that every time you sell parashiyas and you make a profit, what is the profit also of the rice? I think it's Tovis's Dema, but I'm not sure. You have to look up the din. Every time you use parashiyas for schora, but the Evid, if you did it,
right,
what's the halacha of the schora that would have the same din? I'm not
same
sure.
din.
I'm not so sure what the din is the rice.
It's a very strange idea here. You can't use it b'chor because. And then you have to find, because you can't burn it because
according to Rashi.
Well, no, to the schor idea that's what I'm saying. It doesn't become. You can't say it's a bechor
because it was a profit from the mother.
Because it was a profit of the mother. That's an interesting idea already. That because it was a profit of the mother, it takes away the kedushas bechor. But that doesn't necessarily mean you have to get rid of it. You have to see what's done.
They scour out parashiyas, yeah. You have to see what the rules generally mean, right? So if you do use parashiyas for schora, what's the din?
You have to see and then you have to see if that would affect the kedushas bechor. Whatever the derisa argument is of what happens to what you do with the profit from parashiyas. It's saying here that it would block the kedushas bechor, which is interesting. I mean, you have to see how it works out with the thing. But
I remember reading once. There's a whole shiloh during like this year's Nogea.
Yeah.
Estrogim the Shmita. If you don't have a heter, whatever they did to get around Shmita, but let's say they sold estrogim of Shmita. Right. So the problem is that the people who are selling estrogim are over schora, right? So I remember reading. So still, even though that's true, why can't I buy it? Let's say in America. I mean, they're over the Yisur because they were selling, but what else am I over? Because the score is that if there's no din that score has to be, they're not allowed to gain it, so they're not allowed to use the money, whatever they got from it. But why can't I use it? So it comes out, you see from there that the score in the Torah, there's no din on the score that has to be burnt or destroyed or anything like that. It just means you can't use the profit that you made.
Right.
So just for some reason, since this was a profit, it can't have kedushas bechor. So it's not exactly clear why that's so. Okay, but because it was in the Sava Bis or something. But he's asking Lachal straight, but just say even though you can't burn the Imurium, still why shouldn't it have kedushas bechor? So I just want to see on the bottom they say a chilek.
But it goes back to your original statement, which is, I mean, it's still an interesting jump where the schora is on the mother, not on the, on the blood.
At the bottom he says, when he explains the Rambam Lo L'Schara, he said what the Rambam means is, L'Achol L'Schara She'ikar Chalos Kedushas Bechor is a steer to Kedushas Shviyas. Because if the animal that's going to be born is going to have Kedushas Bechor, Kivash Ayadei Zeh Giya Omei L'Shima She'eno Achila, because the mother can only be used for Achila, and now it's like you're using the mother to produce you a Bechor. Of course, Kedushas Shviyas, he says, anytime you're taking away, using the Kedushas Shviyas for something else, that's like I was learning. That you can't have, you can only have Kedushas Shviyas to eat. You can't do anything else with and using the mother to produce a bechor, and now you're going to have a bechor to do the mitzvah bechor, mimakam, and nothing like that. We give it to a kohen.
Right.
So that's like using the mother for a different shemesh.
Right.
So therefore he says, so what does he do? He says, who says that? He says that's the mikdash David. Then he says, as far as the yesh after the Rambam's kasha, the Chinuch's kasha on the Rashi, ma'ishna from this case or bechor of chutz laretz. She'afal gersa seinu masha ein shviyas chala rak b'bechor l'ki hai gavna shem im tachal hakdusha olav yifka den shviyas v'ye omed l'hakrava masha enki ha'meiser sheni afim kadosh bechor ein dini ha'meiser sheni b'telin minei. In other words, he's saying if you use meiser sheni for bechor, even if it's Kodesh Bechor, which then is a special halacha by Shvius, that it could be only used for Achila and not for something which is. So the problem is that you can't use, he's saying, even according to Rashi, the pshat is l'sreifa, means to let the kash was his kash is, so don't burn the emurim, and still should have kedushas.
Right.
Bechor, he says, because since the bechor is always only ta'akrava, that's a stira to
don't get it.
kedusha shvius.
The use of an esrog on shvius. Don't they tie it because it's mitzvahs levahenis? I mean, isn't there that theoretically you use an esrog of shvius, even though it's lachila, but
the problem isn't that. No, the problem is it's schor.
He's calling it schor, but the fact of the matter is the burning of the imurim on the mizbeach is a mitzvah. In other words, he's saying using it for any other purpose is schora.
Right.
Is schora, but here the other purpose is a mitzvah, and then you say mitzvahs levahenis. So it's an interesting definition of a schora that's not a doesn't have a din of hana. I mean I'm not. If you say schora, it means something different than achila. I understand. But that's why I'm bringing up. That's why I'm thinking with the case with the esrog. Don't they say?
No, I thought the whole problem wasn't. No, the whole problem was schur.
Whereby the
esrog doesn't help you because it's schur.
Because I heard some ways of getting around that you actually don't buy the esrog, you buy the other.
The lulav, yeah.
Lulav, and therefore the esrog is not part of the schora.
Right.
So that takes away the issue of the schora.
Right. And
in terms of
using it, mitzvah medicine. I didn't think there was a problem with mitzvah medicine. I thought the problem was schora, and you had to get around schora someplace.
Right, but what he's doing here is he's defining schora as
anything which is not a chiyuv.
Yeah. So like I understand that we got around schora because we make it's not part of the transaction, and then it says levahenis in it. So therefore it's okay. But he's not doing that. He's saying schora means anything that's not leachila.
Yeah, but but that's not called anything. I mean, if you're mitzvah levahenis, then that wouldn't be called doing anything.
Yeah, therefore, that's what I'm trying to say. It's mitzvah levahenis nitnu. Then, if you're saying the schora is anything that's not a chila, which is what they're saying here, then taking a little of an esrog would also not be for a chila. You'll be using it for something else. But in other words, why would the burning of the amurim be considered schora, while taking a little of an esrog would not be considered schora?
I understand. The ones who darshan l'achila schora isn't talking about the burning. They're talking about if you're
right.
I'm getting confused.
Yeah, you're right. You're getting confused because they're saying satzlo l'sreifa. No, but they're saying the schora is because
you profited from the mother
by doing the mitzvah.
By getting the bechor. Yeah.
By getting bechor and doing the mitzvah bechor. That's what I'm saying. It's still you're profiting from the mother by being able to do the mitzvah
I don't know if it's doing the mitzvah because it could be because you're doing the mitzvah, or it could be because you're giving it to a Kohen, he's going to eat it without the mitzvah. I mean, that's good for mitzvah too. Could be.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying is once you put into the Bechor, you put into a category of mitzvah. But the fact of the matter is maybe you get into what do you call it? Tovas Hana, and the fact that you do have that.
Tovas Hana to pick the Kohen.
Yeah, so maybe that's the thing where it's not a perfect mitzvah.
So we're going to have to see exactly the one. We look at the Kislev Mishnah. When Rambam's Goras Lachol Sukkor, we have to see exactly what they mean. But
right, I was getting confused between the Shreif and the Sora, but the fact is that still the Sora here is being defined as a Kedushas Bechor, and you're doing a mitzvah. Yeah, that's the interesting case here. That what you're saying is doing the mitzvah before becomes schora.
He says here that some Achronim say that to answer his kasha, that since the bechor, if it would have kedusha bechor, you wouldn't be able to be makriv it because you're burning it's like a little strafing. You can't be burned. Yeah. You can't be burnt shvius, right? So Perut Shvius can only be used by an Adam for Achila Nafim Chashish She'ena Shalo in Yitzreifa. He says, well, since the Shvius prohibits you from having the use of Sreifa, so he says it's considered like it's not yours, Lagabe the Sreifa, because it has Kedusha Shvius. So it's like Yad Hekdesh B'Emsa, you're not a complete Bailing. Right? But he's saying, let's say, before Chutz Laretz, that you're not makriv, but it still has Kedushas Bechor.
It's inherent to the situation.
Yeah. I'm not so sure what they mean.